Hello, my name is Monica Redfern, and today I will be presenting on Chinese medicine and its relationship with the state of China's environment. China has a rich history of being a country of significant advancements in many areas of life, some being war-related, science and medicine-related, and some being music and arts-related. The Chinese are a culture of intelligence and reverence, determination and poise, and of loyalty and excellence. From a Western perspective, we have seen many amazing developments, especially medicine-wise, come from the East Asian region, but we have also noticed a trend of unsafe and hazardous environmental conditions, which are likely to plague the nation on a long-term scale, if it hasn't already, and affect the country in a negative manner for the rest of its reign. Many Chinese citizens have suffered from, or currently suffer from, severe breathing complications due to the unbearable pollution which can spike from day to day. An important part of a potential solution is the government and its intervention to seek a method of relief and to define goals to work toward targeting and eliminating the problems. Some methods being like regulations against a certain number of cars possessed by individuals, developing medicines to cure any serious health problems due to environmental causes, and consistent practice of sustainable living to promote a healthier and cleaner country. The environmental difficulties in China grow more serious every day, a silent killer for both the citizens and the earth, and there is a desperate need for change. One way to move forward in the way of sustainable and healthful efforts is to take a look back on the historical roots of the welfare and environmental problems in China in order to learn from the effects of the past. Very little is known about Chinese medicine before the 2nd century BC, besides a written description about an unknown disease occurring in the Shang dynasty era. Even so, there was no record of medical techniques of any kind until the fruition of the Yellow Emperor's Inner Canon, written by Huang Di Neijing, and the treatise on cold injuries by Shang Han Lun. Two publications of several volumes which discuss the functions of the human body and qi, as well as various drugs and herbal medicines, all of which have no defined origination. Also described in the Yellow Emperor's Inner Canon are the iconic yin and yang and the 5 phases of nature: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. In a physical sense, the 5 phases are described in relation to the human body. In its essence, traditional Chinese medicine has a record for being the most therapeutic and advanced, though ancient medical texts are sometimes noted to be less reliable. The most noteworthy and essential publication regarding herbs and drugs, however, is the Bencao Gengmu, written by a doctor named Li Shijun during the Ming Dynasty, who also served as an official of the Imperial Medical Bureau of the Ming Empire. Li also included an exhaustive list of references for research, earning the title of the greatest scientific achievement on the entire Ming era. This publication displays the state of Chinese medical theories before the introduction of Western medicine, which first occurred in the 1800s. Even today, the communist sentiment in China still exists and is ever prevalent. Because of this particular sentiment, Western medicine was neither welcomed nor adopted by the Communist Party officials, as they felt the methods and practices were superstitious and non-scientific. Chinese people commonly believe that reliability and consistency is produced through time and experience, so it was a difficult transition into accepting foreign ideals and practices. As the impact of Western medicine became more widespread on a global scale, the development of integrative medicine strengthened. This type of influence in China presented itself in the forms of westernized hospitals and schools, as well as various publications in books and writings. Especially with the institution of the Treaty of Tianjin in 1858, allowing international visitors to travel anywhere in China and not be affected by Chinese law, foreign influence became all the more prevalent. Soon, mission clinics came to exist in most towns across the country, as the restrictions regarding property ownership by foreigners ceased, and they were finally permitted to live outside of the treaty ports. With more inviting and open national borders comes the higher potential risk for international citizens to carry with them foreign parasites of all kinds, which can cause fatal diseases to incubate and spread. Diseases can also be transmitted through animal products when different wild animals from various locations through travel and trade come into contact with each other, causing the spread of pathogens. These pathogens are present in food products sold in Chinese markets, are able to reach an innumerable amount of people across a relatively small space in a short amount of time. This predicament was the basis for one of the most rapid and vastly spread diseases, which became a global issue in 2003. It is known as SARS, or Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome, which comes in the form of flu-like symptoms and includes breathing difficulties and a high fever, later graduating to pneumonia and, in the worst case, death. The disease has since been contained as declared by the World Health Organization. However, there is no known cure or protective vaccine that is safe for human use. The causes of this disease stem from some of the many factors of Chinese regulation that are forcefully established but less thoroughly enforced. Due to the influx of foreign people into China in the last few decades, the rate of industrialization has skyrocketed, which doesn't come at a low cost, especially to the environment. The economic benefits may be positive now, but the degradation of the land and resources are quickly approaching extreme devastation. In the case of air pollution, China is responsible for over 27% of global emissions, sitting in the top spot for the world's largest emitter of greenhouse gases. The nation's rate of energy consumption is constantly on the rise, and the concentration of hazardous particles in the air, especially in larger cities like Beijing, can reach up to 40 times the level deemed safe by the World Health Organization. In December of 2015, Beijing was forced to issue red alerts due to serious pollution, and this was the first time since the emergency alert system was installed that the alerts were issued. This is an indicator that China is perpetually at risk and things are only getting worse. So what is the main cause of this environmental distress? Coal. China is the world's largest coal manufacturer and accounts for nearly half of all of the overall global consumption. Although it is more often utilized in northern China, coal supplies about 2/3 of China's energy mix. The demand for coal is slowly declining as of late. However, the coal power plant number is continually increasing. China has a history of underreporting its annual coal consumption, so the true amount is unknown, but could be much higher than was previously estimated. With further Western influence in China comes a higher rate of industrialization, urbanization, and consumption. With a more industrial influence in growing communities, citizens are drawn to these places for work and housing opportunities. As more and more people begin to congregate in more compact areas, the levels of pollution continue to rise at terrifying rates. This is a result of more vehicles utilized in smaller areas as well, causing pollutants to concentrate and multiply. Pollution does not only have a significant effect on the people of China, but the water sources, agriculture, and farming as well. Approximately 1/5 of farmland is too polluted to sustain any crops, which presents an even bigger issue regarding food sources to support the ever-growing population. Additionally, a fear of heavy metal contamination in rice fields has developed, and in over 450 communities where untreated or mistreated chemicals have polluted the area, natives experience choking, there is a trend of underweight babies, lung cancer has become increasingly prevalent, and male fertility has been adversely affected. Almost 60% of groundwater is unsafe for human use, and the general air quality is 20 times the recommended safe levels. Major river systems are victim to toxic runoff from dumps, causing illnesses such as kidney stones, cancer, and other serious health complications, as well as containing high levels of lead. Some waterways are contaminated with such high metal content that they run red with rust-colored water. However, even on a governmental standpoint, it's not that easy to enforce or even encourage change. The government has taken initiative to draw out ambitious 5-year plans regarding the environment, but it is rumored that follow-through has been lacking. Several years ago, China's National Development and Reform Commission issued its first nationwide blueprint for climate change, which lays out an agenda for objectives to follow for 2020. A pledge to spend $275 billion over the next 5 years to clean up the air and $333 billion to treat water pollution has been promised by the government as well. There is a continued need for the Chinese government to overcome policy and institutional barriers, such as the lack of effective legislation and staffing at the local level in the most basic of actions. But as more and more people are adversely affected by the harmful elements in their environment and realize the seriousness of the situation, things are sure to change. There's a certain symbiosis between humans and the earth as prophesied by the Chinese. One cannot live and thrive without the other. We have seen how the human body, in medical terms, is intricately interconnected with the earth and all of its elements. There is a certain balance between the two that creates an ideal environment for each, but too much of one is toxic for the other. Specifically, too much human use and abuse of the earth proves to be a problem not only for the earth, but the effects come back to haunt humans in an entirely more volatile way. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and I hope you enjoyed it.